Good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups. Wow, look at this. We just got to give ourselves a round of applause for being here. Thank you. We got some awesome stuff going on this morning, and it's just packed full. It's crazy. I had to actually have notes. We got so much going on this morning. So we're going to open it up. Usually we'll do our random act of art with a cold open, but I want to do just a quick little introduction. We've got Anna DeVere here from... Oh, yeah, we even have a slide for Anna. Look at there. All the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. For those of you that remember, it was January 23rd, 2019, we premiered a song that Anna had written for us, and she couldn't be here, so we had it via tape delay. And it was a beautiful song, if you recall, and I think we even featured it in our kind of end-of-year program that we did. But anyway, Anna is in town, in person, here, and she's going to join us on stage. Anna, please come up.
And I got a mic over there, Evan. I'm good. Oh, hey, save my voice. Oh, only the live streamers. Hey, live streamers, look at my pants before I hide. Woo! All right. Can I use this one too? Okay. So as Evan said, I made my North Dakota debut here at Million Cups. And it's very special to me to be with you today because I believe we're all connected. But this room is like joy to me to see all of you here. And I'm going to not talk too much because I know I got limited time and I want to sing for you. But I wrote this song because of a conversation that Marlo Anderson had with an entrepreneur from St. Cloud, Minnesota. Actually, Marlo never met her, which is the crazy connectedness theme that I'm going to give you, and Interstellar is my song. So Marlo says to me, can you believe the ripple effect? This woman from St. Cloud was a failing entrepreneur, and she was down in the dumps because she had to literally let go of her staff. So to clear her head, she went to Fargo 1 Million Cups. And there she met 5 people who saved her business because she connected with them. Now she's a multimillionaire in her business out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. So I believe in you guys. I believe in 1 Million Cups. And when we heard this ripple effect, Marlo's never met her face-to-face till later. That's reason number 1 I'm happy to be here. Number 2 is I met my dear friend Michelle Lucas on stage at 1 Million Cups ahead of her TEDx talk in Fargo. And we were like instant friends. And she said, do you have any songs about outer space? I said, ooh, about half of my songs are about outer space. Yeah, and she's a former employee of NASA. She trained astronauts for over 10 years. She runs a nonprofit called Higher Orbits for kids. And I am pleased to announce that she and I are now going to podcast around this wonderful theme of STEAM. And we are taking in the world. We are connecting with the world and its teachers because they're the best people on earth. And that happened because of 1 Million Cups. So where you are right now is the hottest seat in town. I can't wait to see what we do together. I'm just saying the ripple effect is real. I'm going to play Interstellar, which was inspired by Neil Armstrong, but really it's inspired by all of you. And I can't wait to see what we do with this. Can you imagine that I stood where you are now? The galaxies between us in 1 million years or so. Can you imagine that you're with me? Well, my heart is beating madly as I try to face the fear of the unknown. Well, I don't quite understand the way it works, and I'll never see the tapestry that's written in the stars. All I can say is I'm the future, and I'm very glad to meet you, and I hope that you will join me for the ride. Something inside, it makes me strong. Something's been there all along. You say a hero throws a stone, though he never knows where the ripples go. Well, I imagine that your throat is now gone dry as the distance grows between you and those you kissed and bid goodbye. Can you imagine that I'm with you while your heart is beating madly and you take the road so gladly where it goes? There is something in your courage that remains. It's the tie that binds the folks who never meet here face to face. Can you imagine that I'm with you, staring deep into the ocean of the universe that's suddenly less wide? Something inside, it makes me strong. Something that's been there all along. You say a hero throws a stone, though she never knows where the ripples go. Oh, my heart is fixed upon the sky with the fever of a child who knows no limits to her dreams. The way you walked upon the moon, and one small step became a stone that you skipped for all mankind. Something inside, it makes me strong. Something I hope I can pass along. You say a hero throws a stone, though she never knows where the ripples go. Ooh, the ripples go. That one was live, mistakes and all. Woohoo! I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, so we need to just have the random act of Anna maybe every week. Can you make it back here every week, do you think? Thank you. Wow. Okay, well, there's a good start. We need some strapping humans to lift this piano down if we could. Zhanya. Well, you're pretty. All right. Somebody grab the other end. Okay. Make a little room for us. Anna, thank you so much. Wow. Okay. So, welcome to 1 Million Cups. We've got a lot of faces here today. Any new first-timers today? Wow. Well, okay. There's one. Good. Welcome. A lot of veterans. That's good. Okay. So, first, if you have the 1MC app, please check in. I just did. And it's just a way that we can kind of report back to Kaufman Foundation who's here and keeps track of that for us. So special thanks to our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't be here. Buys coffee, buys rent for this facility, and maybe helps us put on some other events that we're talking about as well. So if you see these folks, please thank them. All right, so what is 1 Million Cups? Most of you know this already, right? So free weekly program where we put entrepreneurs on stage, one, two, whole bunch today as it turns out, to hear their stories and have kind of ride along on their journey a little bit and use the collective wisdom of this group to ask some good questions, some hard questions, and maybe offer some contacts, offer some help that might make them succeed and create these ripples that Anna just sung so beautifully about. All right, so And we're doing this over 1 million cups of coffee. We're supporting our entrepreneurial community, and it feels good. Okay, so at the end, we're going to have Q&A. Hopefully, we'll have quite a bit of time for this because I think there's going to be a lot of questions for our panel today. You can, if you're watching us online, just probably the easiest is just go into the live stream or on Facebook. Just type in your question in the comments. Also, hashtag 1MCND. I think Kirsten is on social media, so she'll ask the question for you. Otherwise, we will have a mug runner. We've got our mug with a microphone in it here we'll bring to you, and you can ask your question in person. Next, community announcements, and we do have a few of these today. The first, really exciting and kind of ties a lot of things together. Anna mentioned Michelle Lucas with Higher Orbits. She is somebody who's become a bit of a friend of our community here, a wonderful human. She has a program called, a company called Higher Orbits, and they have a program called Go for Launch. And this is where high school students work together over a 2-day period on an experiment with the intent that it would go to space. And it's a contest, and at the end, these things actually, one of these goes to space. Well, we are launching Higher Orbits Go for Launch Bismarck Mandan. There's going to be a Fargo version as well, July 6th and 7th. And there will be a winner from those two teams that will be launching into space, either an orbital flight or the space station where the experiment will actually take place. So really, really cool stuff. This is the debut of the official mission patch over there on the right. Ben Brick Design just worked with us and got that finished up yesterday. And we've gotten some big thumbs up from Michelle on that design. She was pretty psyched about that. So yes, July's a ways off, but what I'm really looking for today is to get you guys thinking about this, to get you guys talking about it, telling people we need sponsors for one, and we also need to let all of the youth in our community that would be interested in a program like this know about it. We've got to get as many people involved in this because it is an unbelievable opportunity and an incredible growth experience for these students. So start thinking about that. And, some STEM students in your life, friends, family, whatever, let them know about this. You can talk to myself, Marlo, here. There's going to be a lot more information out right now, but this is just kind of the first announcement. So with that, I think it's really, really exciting for our community, and we just can't wait to get going with it.
You should be more excited.
Sorry. I am excited. I know Michelle. We've been involved in some of these programs with her. We're space geeks totally, if you didn't know that about us. And so it's about the coolest thing ever. So, all right.
Thanks, Evan. That sounds like something we should talk about for TEDx. So put that in your back pocket, and we can collaborate on that later. Side note, save the date, August 12th, TEDx Bismarck is coming back. So yeah, that's very exciting. Not why I'm here. My name is Lakin Ani. I'm with the North Dakota Women's Business Center, and I'm here today to tell you about several things we have going on. We typically have many events happening any really given week. So I just wanted to point out these 4 business builders. On the far left is, or your right, I guess, is a free virtual series. So check out the topics available there. March 11th, June 8th, again, free. We also have a free lunch and learn happening May 13th. This is if you've got any kind of startup questions, you're thinking about starting a business, you want to learn more about the library, what we have to offer. This is for men and women. So we're called the Women's Business Center, but only 60% of our business has to be women focused. So men, you're welcome too. Core Women, save the date, May 27th. We have more details coming out as they roll in. It's going to be really exciting. Actually, a 2-part series we're working on with a doctor out of Minot, who's going to be joining us to talk about imposter syndrome. So put that on your calendar. We'll have May 21st is the first date, and we'll do a second one in June. Then, Ladies' Night with the Larks is happening June 10th. This is a fun collaboration with your favorite local baseball team. And we'll have a VIP pre-party at the Tap-In Tavern with some fun giveaways and other things. And then you can hang out with us at the ball game. Tickets will be available next week. $25. We're going to open it up to this audience and our Women's Business Center audience before the general public. So that would include all you can eat for 3 innings, 3 drinks, 3 drink tickets, and then an opportunity to network with us and learn more about what we do and enjoy some baseball. So keep an eye out, ndwbc.com, and hit me up with any questions.
Cool. I think Mandy's got one as well.
I am Mandy B. Anderson with Rhema Team, and I totally forgot how 1 Million Cups works, so I don't have a slide. But we have a leadership program. It's a 7-week program for women coming up. It's called She Cultivates Resilience, and we're going to be focusing on the 7 leadership principles that you need to step into the shoes of a resilient woman. So we have 6 virtual spots left and 6 in-person spots left, and it starts May 12th and goes through June 23rd. You can find out more details at raymateam.com. That's RAYMATEAM.com.
Thanks, Mandy. You just set it down there. All right. Any other announcements this morning? No. All right. We've got a really cool panel of podcasters for you this morning. I think without any further ado, we're going to bring up our first one. Ben Smith with Coda Media Access is going to join us, and then we're gonna have 4 presenters, and then we're going to start asking questions. Thanks, Ben.
Good morning, everybody. It's really awesome to see all these people here Wednesday morning, and we're all here to celebrate the same thing, podcasting, huh? It seems like podcasting has kind of just exploded in popularity over the last few months. Maybe it's people have been sitting at home and they don't have a lot to do. Maybe they're in quarantine and they just miss the sound of somebody's voice, right? So you pop that podcast in and it's really nice to accompany you with whatever you're doing throughout your day. So my name is Benjamin Smith, and I'm the production manager over at Dakota Media Access. We are your local community media center here in Bismarck, and we are the umbrella organization for government and community access cable channels, as well as our radio station, Radio Access 102.5 FM. So Radio Access is a low-power FM station. We're a non-commercial radio station that serves the communities of Bismarck and Mandan. We have celebrated our 5th year anniversary recently, and in that time, we've had tons of producers submit hundreds and even thousands of hours of content that we broadcast on our radio station. So we are a community media station, so that means that anybody can produce stuff and submit it, and we'll broadcast it on our airways, or we'll archive it on our website for people to listen to and even watch on the stream if you are interested into the TV thing. So podcasting, currently we have about 16 different programs that we produce on a regular basis, all from community media producers. Almost all of them are from the Bismarck and Mandan area. We do have a couple people who submit stuff from outside of the state. One of our most successful producers, or our shows I should say, is Steamers Blues. So if you are a fan of blues music, give Steamers Blues a listen. Steve Steamer Stelton is the host, and he's produced well over 250 hour-long episodes. And if you like blues music, it's just amazing. He knows more about blues music than anyone I ever will or probably will ever meet, because it's just incredible. He knows about artists and different genres and just everything blues. And then another one of our most prolific producers is Anthony Spooner, who hosts the Country Power Hour. And so country music is what he curates. He's a broadcaster who is a recent graduate of University of Mary, and he's produced over 150 episodes. So a lot of our podcasts are music-based. We have a host who curates music, talks about their favorite genres and styles, but we also have a lot of talk show podcasts that people submit to us. One of those is a recent creation called A Musical Journey, hosted by Rob Dixon, and he talks to some of your favorite local musicians here in Bismarck and Mandan. You may have heard these musician plays, but you probably don't know their story, their influences, what made them decide to go into music. So that one's really cool. Another one of our long-running podcast shows is Recovery Chronicles. And so this is where a licensed addiction counselor will talk to people who are recovering from addiction to drugs and alcohol. So something to kind of normalize that and just talk about it and just let people know that perhaps they're not alone if they're struggling and stuff. So you might be wondering, how do these people submit their programs to us? Well, there's a number of ways that we can support them getting their content to us. One of those is equipment. We provide equipment free of charge. You can check out a community producer radio kit. And so this is like a hard case that has microphones, cables, an audio mixer in it, and pretty much everything you need to record your voice professionally, make it sound good from the convenience of your own home. We also have a studio set up that you can reserve time for if you want to. Come in and take a 2-hour block and just come and talk into our microphones, and it's already set up so you don't have to worry about the technical aspect of it too much. You can just start creating content and be creative with your media. Some of our producers also have their own studios set up in their home, and they just submit their content on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So if you by chance know anyone or you yourself have some content that you would like to share, we would love to broadcast it on Radio Access 102.5 FM. So that's pretty much it. As I said before, it's all free. So you can use this equipment. You can check out this professional equipment for free. It doesn't cost anything. We only ask that you allow us the chance to broadcast your awesome content on Radio Access 102.5 FM, or you can always listen to the web stream that we have going on that's playing what we're playing live every day. So we are your community media center. If you guys want to get involved, go to radioaccess.org and just click on the Get Involved tab. That's all I had.
Thank you, Ben. All right. Thank you, Ben. Now, Mandy Anderson with the REMA team. Thanks, Mandy.
All right. So the She Who Overcomes podcast is the podcast that Rachel Perman, my business partner, and I produce through REMA Team Media, which is our newly minted publishing and media division of our company. And we've been doing a podcast for nearly 7 or 8 years. We actually started out in radio. We used to do a radio show on Club Radio here in town, and we turned that into a podcast. And the She Who Overcomes podcast is really about having real conversations that can help women and men transform their life, leadership, and career. It started out as just a podcast that I was hosting for a while, and the first 9 to 10 episodes were basically my book, She Who Overcomes, being read like an audiobook. So each episode was a chapter of the book. And then from there, I started going deeper into having conversations with other people and sharing more about my life with cystic fibrosis and how I'm overcoming it, or sharing some coaching content. And over time, I realized I don't like doing a podcast by myself. So I missed my bestie, and I needed her to come and do it with me. And we have some great conversations about helping to transform your mindset around conflict resolution, around being able to honor and respect each other, even though we have different views. I recently had the honor of interviewing an author named Rachel Linden, who wrote the book, The Enlightenment of Bees. That's actually the episode that released this week. I have interviewed Michael Cartwright, who has spoken here before and is another fellow TEDx Bismarck speaker. And so it really is a great opportunity to not only share other people's stories, but network more between each other as well. We take care of producing and editing the podcast right in my home office. My husband is the producer who edits all of our content, and he also works with a few other clients that we do the same for. He has a really good ear for audio, so he can hear like those weird things that we probably don't hear, but maybe we feel them, like high-pitched noises or background noise. And he has a really great ability to get rid of all of that and to even point out, okay, you need a different microphone because of your vocal tone. So he does all of that part, whereas the graphics and the content, Rachel and I come up with all of that. So this is actually available on Apple Podcasts, as well as Stitcher and iHeartRadio.
All right, thank you, Mandy. Why don't you go ahead and carry that over there with you? All right, and next, Mike Seminary with Mike Seminary and Friends.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm supposed to take 3 minutes to talk about my experience with podcasting. It's very limited. I retired at the end of last year, and my wife, as we were driving to a funeral for a friend of mine, and I'd interviewed him for a book that I've written that Deb edited, Deb, my wife, we haven't published it. She said, you know, when you retire, you should do a podcast based on the book. So I launched the podcast in January. The first show was me. It was the best show, frankly. It's pushed out every Wednesday, and it's large part because of Marlo, Anna DeVere, and Q1. I teamed up with them to push out the content. It's on most of the podcast platforms. It's on MikeSeminary.com, Mike Seminary and Friends on Facebook. And I spend an hour every Wednesday talking to people that motivate me, have inspired me. I've read, I think, 21 books during the course of this year because most of the people I've interviewed have written, authored something. I add to the list, I have 226 people that I have on this list that I want to have on my shows, which means I'm probably going to be around for a while. Deb does all of the editing. God bless her. Pray for her, please. And it's working. I'm staying out of her hair. We see each other very little. I think she likes that. The commute to my home studio is very short. I don't have to wear anything if I don't want to. It's podcast. I don't push it out on YouTube yet. Sometimes I use Marlo's studio, which means I have to brush my hair and teeth. And I look for guests. So I change my list all of the time. Just this morning, I added to my list because I heard a song that inspired me during my morning run. And I thought to myself, I have to add that person to my list. And it's every Wednesday, MikeSeminary.com, Mike Seminary and Friends, which really should be a Mike Seminary and Friend because that's an exaggeration when I say Mike Seminary and Friends. And I'm looking forward to your questions. Thanks for the invitation to be here. Why are you laughing at me? It's so good to see you again. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Nice to meet you.
And last but not least, we've got Marlo Anderson with Tech Ranch and a whole bunch of other things. Marlo?
Good morning, everybody. So Mike is just sharing with you how Deb's got him out of his hair, or out of her hair, into mine. So I really appreciate that. I'm just saying, Mike. But Mike's been a pleasure to work with. It's been fun bringing his podcast forward. Q1 Network is probably a little different podcast platform. We look at the monetization possibilities with podcasting, and generally that means that we're going to radio. So sooner or later, Mike is going to be heard on a radio station across this great land. We have other projects as well. We have The Bend and Ranch It Up. Both of those products are heard, of course, on their respective websites, of course, and across all media platforms when it comes to podcasting. And they're also on a variety of Midwest radio stations, as well as Sirius XM now. So they're on channel 147 on Sirius XM. The National Daily Calendar, the National Day Calendar radio short. We had 1 million downloads in the last year. So I know, which is pretty exciting. We just are in negotiations to have that program on over 300 radio stations across the country. Starts at a podcast, moves to radio stations. The Tech Ranch, something that we're bringing back again excuse me. You know, it's cold outside and I still got allergy issues. It's unbelievable. The Tech Ranch is a show that we're bringing back. It's going to be called Living with Technology. And then we also dabble in television a little bit as well, the TV vignette that maybe many of you see on KX networks in the area. So we're always looking for new talent. Somebody, if you're interested in coming into this space, we kind of bring you along and hopefully move you to radio and other potential monetization opportunities. So that's what Q1 Network's all about. We have almost all of our partners here this morning too. Anna DeVere, you heard her a little bit ago. Patrick McCluskey's there. Dave Blair back there. If anybody has any questions for us, please reach out afterwards. Thanks for having me here.
All right. That's actually for you. Yeah, I think we're set. All right, so we get to ask these people all kinds of questions now. Janya's our mug runner this morning, so if you've got a question, just throw up a hand, and she'll get you the microphone. Wow, so many questions. Marlo, why don't we start with you with Q1 a little bit. How did that come to be and about, and where's it going from here?
Well, like the typical entrepreneur journey, it started on a bar napkin someplace, and had this idea, and we've been dabbling in radio a little bit for quite some time, and just had this idea to start. I suppose with National Day Calendar, we were looking at ways to continue building the authority of National Day Calendar. We now have competition in that space, and this was kind of the natural progression of that, to continue building that authority, things that we don't think our competition can do. Right. So we just felt that broadcasting was one of those spaces that they couldn't do. And that's just kind of how it evolved. And then we just thought, if we're doing this stuff already, if we're building these things out, let's offer it to others as well. So that's how the story continues. So
you've got capacity, you can bring on any number of additional shows?
We do, but we're pretty selective about it right now because our capacity is pretty much at max right now because of all the things we have going on. But if somebody's interested, it might be something that we'll say, all right, we'll take on, like 2 months from now, let's start talking about it. It's kind of how Mike, I guess, probably moved along with us. We had a conversation for quite a few months, and then bring the podcast forward. Yep.
Cool. So one of the things you mentioned, Marlo, is a monetization piece, and I guess that would be a question for the others on the stage. Is monetization a thing? Are there other benefits, other reasons for what you're doing? I guess it's always a question that comes to my mind, I think, when I think about podcasts and podcasting. So, Mike, why don't we start with you?
I have decided not to monetize yet, and for a couple reasons. One, that's a job. Mm-hmm. That's like going out and selling radio advertising, TV advertising, and I retired, right? So I took a break from that part of the activity in my life. It's important, of course. Most people do this as a side hustle, so they're going to want to somehow at least recoup expenses. I have expenses because I buy people's swag and books and all that kind of thing. In time, I'll attempt to monetize it. The other reason I haven't is that I wanted a reason for someone to consider investing in the product. And while I had experience doing radio, I hadn't the experience of doing my own kind of thing. And until I was comfortable that, this is a product that I'm really proud of and I think you should invest in it, I'm comfortable to say I'm there now, but I'm still not going to do it because I'm retired.
Right. Thank you. Mandy?
We haven't actually looked into monetizing, and I don't think it's that we're against it. I think right now we want to be able to give value and content that really helps change people's lives, but it's also the freebie that we get. We've had the experience of trying to do a lot of different things for free and getting burnt out because you have to keep up with all of that content. And so we used to have a spot on North Dakota Today every week for 2 years, on top of a podcast, on top of blogging, on top of trying to get people onto our email list with free opt-ins. And just over the last few months, we've decided, the podcast is the freebie. And they get our people on our VIP email list get a lot of bonuses from that, but monetizing is something we are probably open to the conversation if it's the right thing. But we also don't want to turn it into the podcast where there's a ton of ads too, because if you look at some of the really big podcasts in the life coaching and the leadership coaching industry, a lot of the complaints in the reviews are how many ads there are. So I think that would be a conversation we would need to have and learn more about.
All right. Want to share any thoughts, Ben?
I can talk a little bit about it. So we're non-commercial, so we can't unfortunately provide that monetization avenue for our local producers. But I can tell you the other benefits that some of our producers are getting, all of them, it's a labor of love. It takes so much work, as you guys know, to first of all, to get started, to get those right equipments right, to get your voice sounding good, to find your radio voice, to get that space, not only physical space, but that space in your life to do this. We have one producer, former producers, the Cuckoo's Nest Radio Hour was a themed show about music, and these producers would spend 7 hours for every episode, even after doing many, many episodes, and it was just a labor of love. They loved it so much, they would obsess over their scripts, over their music selections, and eventually they were like, you know, we just have to stop for now. It's been an awesome ride, but it's consuming so much of our lives without being able to get money for that. And so for the people that I know, it's a labor of love. One of my producers says, you know, while I was hoping I could get paid for this and it didn't work out at this time, I learned so much. And he actually decided to go into audiology because of all of his experience with podcasts. So the benefits, besides monetary, are really, really great. And our producers are just inspirational people who love what they're doing.
I guess payment comes in a lot of different forms, right? So, cool. Anna.
Is this on? Oh. If anybody in the room is itching to tell their story, I just think this is your outreach program. I work with Q1, so I'm not going to talk about Q1, but Ben is really expressing to you that you can come in for free and tell your story. You can learn. You never have to look at this as a money-making experience. What Mandy said is brilliant. She's been doing it for 7 years. I can't wait to work with you. I can't. Yeah, see, and if you feel like I really want to connect, I'm a little nervous, you got to go hook it up with Ben because you owe it to yourself to rethink what this could be. I mean, we monetize because we can, but that isn't, we're all very well-intentioned people who really have a higher cause to get out to the world, and we're lucky to partner with National Day Calendar to do that. But we encourage you to take that first step. If you even think this could help your business, talk to Mandy about what she's done. Talk to Ben about how you can get involved. I'm just loving the synergy of this panel, so I'll shut up now.
And if I can add more to that, I was doing an interview with a woman named Sabrina Walker Hernandez, and she is the founder and CEO of Supporting World Hope, a nonprofit organization that helps other nonprofits grow. And she's based in Texas. And one of the things that she was saying is that in this day and age that we live in, people are looking for stories that inspire them and give them hope and equip them to take those steps in their life, whatever that might be. And a podcast is the easiest way to do that. And even if you're not ready to maybe start your podcast yet because of having a little bit of fear, because there is a little bit of fear of putting that out there and having people hear your voice and your message, ask somebody if you could be a guest on their show, because if you have a podcast, you most likely are looking for guests, because then you don't have to come up with the content all the time, and it's nice to have a good mixture of all of that.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Shania? Oh, you know, it's kind of a back to tech geek a little bit, but you know, I think all of you in some way or another mentioned gear. How important is that gear, and what kind of expense would you be looking at? It's how nice to see that it's available. That was news to me. I think that's a wonderful opportunity for anybody that wants to stick a toe in the water. But can you just talk just a little bit about gear, what somebody could expect to invest, and how important that is to the production value they get?
I think you kind of get what you pay for, you know, but there are some things that you can do that can really help the quality. And I forget the name of it. Anna, you might remember. Mike, you might remember too, that shield that we put around the mic. Anybody remember what that thing is called? Yeah. It's a circular, or it can be like a trifold. What it does is and then you set your mic in front of it.
Absorbs.
And then it absorbs like the outside noise. It's a barrier, basically. It's amazing what a difference that will make. And that's like a $60 item or an $80 item. It's very, very inexpensive. A nice mic is okay. I mean, you can spend $100 or $200 on a nice mic, right? And then plug it into your computer, and with those two things, you're probably good to go.
You
know,
said
if you want-
Mike and you pointed to
I know.
me.
Every time I think about that, I look, and if you took your cap off, it would even be more
I'm
relevant.
free.
He
I'm
wants a
free
royalty
Mike.
every time we say Mike. So
That's about what I paid. I bought a Yeti Blue with a nice flexible stand, and then Deb went to some place and bought a folding piece of cardboard, and we stuck some styrofoam on there, put it up in front of the, or I guess behind the microphone, and so now I'm convinced we have the same quality virtually that we would have in almost any studio. And a lot of people use Zoom, which is fine. Marlo is the one that suggested I take a look at a software called Riverside.fm. It's very similar to Zoom, but the way they technologically handle the person that you're interviewing, converting their sound to match yours with your equipment, is really quite remarkable. I'm very impressed with that. I think I've spent $240 for an annual membership, and I have unlimited hours where I can record, and it's really, really nice. And they just produced an app for your iPhone, so if I want to interview somebody and somewhere in Kentucky, and they don't have a laptop, they can use their iPhone. It's pretty slick, cheap.
We often use Zoom when we are doing interviews, and one of the things that you might not know about Zoom is you can actually choose to record both audios on separate files. So if you are sending it to a producer to edit it and put it all together, they can fix some of those issues that might come up if you haven't used a different program. I use the Blue Yeti mic when I am doing interviews through Zoom with other people. A lot of my guests will use their either earpods or their, the earpod plug-in, the old school ones, where we hook everything up. And then at the office, when Rachel and I are recording together, I believe we have Sennheiser mics, but I can't remember what version. They're 7 years old, but they sound amazing. And we used to have a podcast studio when we were at the Idea Center the first time around, where we had a lot of soundproofing. We're back at the Idea Center now in a totally different office without the podcast studio, and it still sounds just the same. If you are doing it at home, I would probably suggest to stay away from rooms with vaulted ceilings, because that's something my husband has had to talk clients through. It just creates a lot of sound bouncing. And stay away from windows as well, or glass desks. I have a glass desk at home, and I usually have to cover it with towels so that it doesn't absorb, it doesn't bounce all of the sound around. But more than anything, don't wait till you have the perfect equipment. Getting started is what matters most, because as you get started, you'll be able to know, first of all, do I like this? Second of all, what are the things that people are hearing that I need to fix? And that can kind of help you have different options for equipment as well.
thank you.
She said a lot. What I was going to say, it really is about your location. You can go out and buy a $300 mic and it will sound really good, but if you're in a noisy environment, it's just not going to do it enough. So don't record your podcast in the kitchen, because the sound of the refrigerator will come through. Don't record it in your laundry room. Maybe pick a bedroom or an office. A closet is really good. So I heard a story about when the pandemic first hit, a lot of the NPR reporters had to go home and record their stuff from home. They would go and sit in their closets, because there's soft clothes all around, and they would just talk, and it just sounds nice and quiet and muffled. And it's amazing what you can do with just a few blankets, with your clothes. Just be mindful of where you're at. For example, I can hear the projector because I'm listening for it in here, but most of you probably wouldn't have noticed that whirring sound that's in the background. But when you go into post-production and you're at your editor, that whirring sound is just gonna be like there, and you're like, how did I not hear that before? It's those machines that are in our lives that you don't know how loud they really are until you record stuff with your microphone.
Cool. Thank you. Question in the back.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. This is awesome. You guys look beautiful up there. But question I have with it seems like everybody has a podcast now, right? There's a little bit of content overwhelm, I'd say, for a lot of podcast listeners. Kind of looking forward, where do you see this going in terms of innovation or differentiating for your brands, your platform, whether you're doing content marketing or you're looking to generate revenue through this? How do you differentiate and how do you measure? I guess two questions. How do you differentiate, and then how are you going to measure? What metrics do you use to kind of determine whether your podcast is successful or not?
Well, I'll run at that first. The other day, my wife sent me a very interesting piece of information about the number of podcasts that really are not there. A lot of podcasts, they're one and done. A lot of people, after a month, they're gone. There are very few podcasters that, like clockwork, have been there 7 years. That is a small handful. With regards to content, I don't know that it matters. I think what's more important is your brand. You know, I debated, even from the name, I was toying with Coffee with the Mayor because I had built that brand for 4 years, right? But somebody said that probably sounds too political, and I'm not doing politics in my podcast. I'd rather do colonoscopy pictures, right? And I'm not going Joe Rogan because I don't want my mother calling me from the grave saying I'm swearing too much in the microphone. I swear plenty, but I'm not going to do it on my podcast. So I think if you focus on your brand and be consistent, and if you can be there for the long haul, whether you're monetizing or not, you're going to stand out. And over time, you build a following. The size is only important to you, I think.
We have had years where we didn't do a podcast, and a part of me died inside. I do it because it's a way for me to get my message out and to reach people that maybe aren't ready to work with us one-on-one in coaching or to work with us in a program, but yet it's a way to still speak some leadership encouragement and some hope into their life. And it's a way to also connect more with other brands and other people and hear other people's stories and help them get their message out. And we didn't always have that point of view when we did podcasting before. This is the first show where we've actually done interviews with other people every now and then. And we try to do at least one episode a month where we have a guest on the show. And then the other 2 or 3 episodes are Rachel and I doing some coaching content, or we've even recorded, we used to record all of our live events when we had them, and then we would use snippets of that for podcast episodes. So the thing about, branding and longevity is get creative about what you're using. I've actually done other podcasts, or I've done panels on Zoom with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and I've asked them, hey, can I use this audio on a podcast episode? And getting permission from all of the other panelists was all I had to do, and then they were fine with it. So there are ways to cross-promote like that, and just figuring out, yes, you will need a break. Scheduling some breaks so that you don't burn out and letting your listeners know, we're going to take a break for the next month or 2. In the meantime, catch up on episodes you've missed maybe, or go listen to this other person's podcast in the meantime. I think it's a great way to connect. And for us, it really is a brand standard to have a podcast, whether it's this show forever or we branch out into different ones. I know there's people like Shalene Johnson who has 3? Does she have 3 of them, Rachel? 3 different podcasts. One she does with herself, one she hosts with her son. Another one is like a car podcast where she just talks in the car, and so obviously the audio isn't going to be great, but she's inspired in that moment and she gets the message out, and that's really what matters.
Cool. Anybody else want to? Okay, I think Kirsten.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. A lot of experience here, and it's good to hear your stories. And holy cow, all of the time that you've spent into this. Todd Richardson has a question on Facebook. He says, hello, starting out with a podcast, 7 episodes in right now. Congrats, Todd. There is a lot of work in post-production, cleaning up our voices, removing vocal pauses, streamlining our stories. Are there any tips with efficiency in putting together content that minimizes the work after recording stops?
One at a time.
We're all thinking about the tricks that we use, you know. So I have a piece. There's some AI out there now that I've been experimenting when I do Mike's show, when you send it to me, and I think that does a pretty good job of that. The challenge is it's called Altiu, I believe, ALTIU. I might be wrong on the pronunciation or the spelling of that, but I can get that to the person who asked the question. But that works pretty good. It's like, you know, $30 a month for this thing, and it actually has an AI that goes through the entire thing. It listens for those pings and pops. It's certainly not as good as a human listening to it, but if you don't have the hour or 2 or 3 to actually edit afterwards, you know, I always think about television, and to do a post-edit on television is an hour per minute. Now, audio isn't as bad, but it's still there. I mean, if you actually listen to the show, I would guess that an hour show, you'd probably put 2 to 3 hours worth of work into that to properly edit it. So using AI, I think, is a great way to, you know, speed that up a little bit. Audacity is another great editing program that's free. There's a little bit of a learning curve, not as bad as like Adobe Elements or any of those, but you can get pretty proficient at those pretty quick.
I was actually going to talk about Audacity because it's a great program. It's free, and you can use it on Apple computers or PCs. And the 2 things that I use quite a bit are normalizing the audio. So if you have a speaker who's really loud and someone who's a little bit more reserved, you can just normalize the whole thing, and it will all kind of make it less than a certain amount if you don't want it too loud. But the quiet parts, it'll boost a little bit, and you don't have to go through it bit by bit, minute by minute. Another thing is a noise reduction filter, and Audacity has something like that as well. So if you do have a little bit of background noise, some machinery that's causing just like a couple frequencies to pop up in the silent part, you take a noise print of that silent part of the episode, and then you can take that noise away from the entirety of the rest of the episode. So instead of having to go in and do bit by bit, that really makes it pretty easy at the end. The other thing I was going to say is just be mindful of your storage. Typically, audio files are MP3s or WAV files. WAV files are great because there's a lot of data in there, but they take up a lot of space. So if you're going to be a marathon podcaster like Mike and have hundreds of people lined up to talk to, just be mindful of where you're storing those files so you don't have to migrate those when you run out of space, because that will take a lot of time.
And also be aware of like what's your skill set. If you are tearing your hair out trying to learn all of this, hire somebody to do the post-production and the editing of everything, because it's not really as expensive as you might think. We typically are charging our clients about $175 a month for 3 to 4 episodes, depending on the length of time, and that really helps people get a little bit of coaching on how to do better on like their speaking voice, but then they don't have to worry about it. And so look for somebody. You can even go on to like a place like Upwork and see what it takes to hire somebody to do post-production or something like that, or Fiverr. There are so many options out there for people that are helping if you need a lower budget. Also, there's some that go even higher. So there's no shame in contracting things out, and that can actually even help grow, because now you have the brain space to work on the content, which is what you're passionate about anyway. I sit there and have tried to edit some of my own podcasts in the past, and I get very upset and want to tear my hair out and quit. So I let my husband do it because he is the expert in that, and he cares about the sound quality way more than I do. So
I just want to follow up with that because Ben really hit on that noise sample piece, right? So Mike, when you send a file to me, what's the first 8 seconds that I hear?
I don't know. Deb's sending them to you.
So when you start your show every time, what do you do?
It's the same I do episode 18, talking with Marlo Anderson, then there's a pause.
And that's where I pull the sample from. So he stops for like 3 or 4 seconds. If there's something like a refrigerator running in the background or whatever, I have that snippet that I can pull a filter on and remove that refrigerator sound from the rest of it. That's why that's so important. So that's probably the best tip we can give that person. Yep.
Wow, cool. All right, well, I think unfortunately our time is about up. Janya, do you want to ask a final question for us, please?
Yep, so if you've been paying attention, we always ask the last question of our guests, so you know what's coming, right? What can we, oh, by the way, you are all super awesome. I need to mention that. I almost want to have a podcast, but not quite. So what can we all, look at all these smiling faces, what can we all do in the Bismarck-Mandan community, including those folks who are online, to help each of the 4 of you succeed? And why don't we start down there with you, Ben?
We are happy when you're able to produce stuff and be creative. We just want to enable people to be creative. We give you the tools to do that so you don't have to buy stuff or set things up, and we'll give you a little advice with just how the process goes. But visit dakotamediaaccess.org, or the easy way to remember it is freetv.org.
I think the most obvious is to go subscribe and listen to every podcast that is represented up here, because that's how you'll know if it's one that you enjoy listening to and how you can share it with other people. You can connect with myself and Rachel with our podcast at raymateam.com. That's RAYMATEAM.com. And I think what we're really looking for is even opportunities to interview people here in the local area as well as in the state area, but also to give our names to other podcasters that you know who might be looking for guests so that we can cross-promote that way.
I think what Million Cups does is consistently always helping all entrepreneurs, whether it's a side hustle for somebody or their full-time entrepreneurial gig, and appreciate what you do. And MikeSeminary.com is where you can find mine. I even take hair care tips, so whatever you can offer, I'll listen.
I was going to say, do you have to cover that up for audio quality?
I hate to follow that, actually. Wow. Of course, listen, and listen consistently. I guess the one advice I would give is that if you're going to get into the podcasting space, Mike was right on when he talked about how many people give up on the podcast stream that they maybe start by doing 1 episode, 4 episodes. Make sure you want to get into it, and like everything else that I've preached over the last 10 years of my life, you have to be consistent about it. You know, if you're going to build a following, make sure you put that show out consistently, whether it's once a month, once a week, whatever it looks like, right? And you have to dedicate to that. So many things that you can do, in this space. We talk about monetization a little bit, but I think that authority building and the monetization platform really is interesting too for you, because if you want to get into this, the ability to, for me, it's about conversations with other people. And I think this is probably the core of Mike too. When's the last time you and I actually talked for an hour?
During my podcast.
That's correct. You get an hour of time with your favorite people. It's the most amazing thing.
Did you just say I'm your favorite person?
It's hypothetical.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evan. So with that, thanks.
You are mine too.
Yeah, all right. I appreciate that.
All right, let's give it up for these 4. Thank you guys for all being here this morning. So coming up next week, we've got Everlasting Hope and Avertis Fertility Care. Good Talk Network on April 28th. And we're going to hear about BSC's Polytechnic mission on May 5th. So lots of good stuff coming. If you or somebody you know would like to join us on this stage and present, just go out to 1millioncups.com/bizman. It's a very, very easy process. Fill out the form that comes to us. We look at it. We walk you through the process. It's very simple, and you get a lot of support along the way. And that is all we've got this morning. Thanks for being here. Have a good rest of your week.